When it comes to chasing success, one of the biggest myths we buy into is that age either qualifies us or disqualifies us. We grow up hearing phrases like, "You're too young to understand," or "You're too old to start something new." And somewhere along the way, we start to believe it. But here's the truth. You need to burn into your mind right now. Success has absolutely nothing to do with how old you are. It is not your age that determines what you are capable of achieving. It's your mindset, your willingness to act, and your ability to keep going when it gets hard. Think about it. The world does not care if you are 18 or 80. Opportunities don't look at your birth certificate before showing up at your door. What matters is whether or not you're ready to answer when opportunity knocks. What matters is whether or not you're willing to step up, put in the work, learn the skills, and push through your own doubts. Success is not a trophy handed out at a certain age. It's a journey, a messy, winding, unpredictable journey that rewards people who are willing to stay in the game. And guess what? The only way you get kicked out of the game is if you pull yourself out of it. Too many people put themselves on the sidelines because they think they're too late or too early to matter. That's just fear in disguise. It's fear trying to sound like logic. But when you really look at it, it's total nonsense. Your age is not a limitation, it's an asset. But only if you treat it like one. When you're young, you have the advantage of time, energy, and a fresh perspective. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. That's the time to take bold risks, to try and fail and try again. Every mistake becomes a stepping stone. Every failure teaches you faster. That's a gift. When you're older, you carry a different kind of power. You've lived. You've learned things the hard way. You have experiences, wisdom, and emotional strength that can't be faked or rushed. You know who you are better than someone fresh out of school. You have professional networks, life lessons, and resilience that only come from having been through things. That, too, is a gift. But if you sit there and say, "I'm too old to change," or "I'm too young to be taken seriously," you are doing one thing and one thing only, giving yourself permission to quit before you even start. And that's a tragedy because what you don't realize is that success is available at every stage of your life if you are willing to fight for it. You need to understand that the thoughts you allow in your mind will shape your entire reality. If you constantly tell yourself you're too old, you'll start to act like it. You'll move slower, dream smaller, and shrink from opportunities. If you tell yourself you're too young, you'll hold back from stepping into leadership roles or taking chances that could change your life. What you believe about yourself becomes the limits of your life. Instead, you have to decide right now that your age is irrelevant to your dreams. Your work ethic matters. Your determination matters. Your belief in yourself matters. Everything else is just noise trying to distract you. You are not behind. You are not ahead. You are exactly where you are supposed to be, with everything you need to get started. All that's missing is your decision to trust yourself and begin. The only real difference between the people who succeed and the people who don't is that successful people stop making excuses. They stop letting age, fear, failure, or other people's opinions decide their fate. Right now, wherever you are in your life, you have a choice. You can focus on what you think disqualifies you, your age, your past mistakes, your lack of experience, or you can focus on your ability to learn, grow, adapt, and build the life you actually want. That choice will determine everything. So next time you catch yourself thinking, "I'm too old," or "I'm too young," remember this: that thought is not a fact. It's a story, and you have the power to write a different one. Your age is a number, not a limit. It's time to stop waiting for the perfect time or the perfect age. It's time to start. Success belongs to those who show up, who do the work, who believe that their dreams matter at any age, and that can be you, starting today. When you start studying the lives of people who have achieved extraordinary success, you quickly realize something powerful. Success doesn't come with an age requirement. Some people achieve greatness early. Others arrive much later. But the one thing they have in common is that they kept moving toward their vision, no matter where they were in life. History is overflowing with examples of people who shattered the false timeline society tries to impose. Some bloomed early, some bloomed late, but all of them bloomed because they stayed committed to the work. Take Mozart, for example. He composed music at an age when most kids are still learning basic math. He was writing symphonies by the time he was 8 years old. You might look at someone like that and think, well, that's just talent. But talent alone never tells the full story. Mozart's success came from thousands of hours of practice, relentless dedication, and an environment that supported his passion. Even at a young age, he put in serious work behind the scenes. His early achievements teach us that when you commit fully, even at a young age, you can create extraordinary outcomes. But then there are people like Colonel Sanders, who didn't even begin franchising Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was in his 60s. He spent years jumping from job to job, working as a steam engine stoker, insurance salesman, and filling station operator before he found his calling. Most people would have called it quits long before then. Most people would have said, I'm too old to start over. But Sanders didn't. He didn't let his age define what was possible. Instead, he bet on himself. He believed that his best days weren't behind him. They were still ahead. Doors still ahead. And because of that belief, he changed his entire life in what most people would call the later chapters. There's also Vera Wang, who didn't design her first wedding dress until she was 40. Before that, she was a figure skater and a fashion editor. Her journey was not a straight line, and it didn't unfold according to some socially approved timeline. She allowed herself to pivot, to reinvent, and to grow into new dreams. Today, Vera Wang is one of the most respected names in fashion, and her work has touched millions. Her story proves that success often comes after you've lived a lot of life, after you've gathered the wisdom, skills, and resilience that only time can give you. Then think about Stan Lee, the mastermind behind Marvel Comics. He created Spider-Man when he was almost 40. Before that, he spent decades working behind the scenes, helping create other people's visions. It wasn't until later that he finally took a risk, pitched something new, and let his creative ideas shine. That risk turned into a universe of superheroes that has captured hearts across generations. When you realize how many incredible people found their purpose, their passion, or their ultimate breakthrough later than expected, it becomes obvious that age is irrelevant. What matters is persistence. What matters is courage. What matters is the willingness to trust that your story is still unfolding, even when the world tells you it's too late. The flip side is also true. Some people rise fast and young, but what you don't always see is the discipline it takes to maintain success once you reach it. Early achievers like Steve Jobs, Malala Yousafzai, and Billie Eilish show us that success can happen when you're young. But staying successful takes just as much work as getting there in the first place. It's not about getting there quickly. It's about growing into the person who can handle success sustainably. Whether you find your moment early or late doesn't matter. What matters is that you stay ready, that you keep moving, that you continue building your skills, your mindset, your resilience. Because opportunity doesn't always show up on the timeline you want. Sometimes it comes sooner, sometimes it comes later. But when it does, it demands that you are prepared. Learning these stories should change the way you look at your own journey. Just because you haven't hit the milestones you expected by a certain age doesn't mean you're behind. And just because you have early wins doesn't mean you can slow down. Success is about playing the long game. It's about understanding that you are constantly in a season of preparation for the next big thing. Whether that happens at 20, 40, 60, or 80 years old. So the next time you feel like you're running out of time, or that you missed your window, remember the people who made history by refusing to give up. Remember that success is always available to those who stay in the game, stay ready, and refuse to let a number define their future. One of the biggest shifts you can make in your thinking, a shift that can completely change your future, is to understand that skills matter more than age. In a world that's moving faster than ever, where industries evolve overnight and new opportunities are born every single day, the people who succeed are not necessarily the youngest, the oldest, or the most traditionally qualified. They are the ones who focus on building real skills. They are the ones who recognize that ability outweighs assumptions. If you can do the work, if you can bring value, if you can solve problems, then your age becomes irrelevant. Skills are the great equalizer. No matter what stage of life you are in, you can learn something new. You can sharpen your mind, expand your capabilities, and increase your value to the marketplace. This is a principle that never changes. no matter how old you get. The moment you stop focusing on how old you are and start focusing on how capable you are becoming, you take your power back. You stop measuring yourself against meaningless timelines and start measuring yourself against your own potential. Consider the technology industry. Some of the biggest breakthroughs have come from people who taught themselves how to code, how to design, how to market, often outside of formal education systems. They didn't wait for someone to hand them permission. They didn't worry about whether they were the right age. They simply focused on mastering the skills that mattered. Whether it was understanding social media algorithms, learning how to build a website, or mastering sales psychology, they got to work. They built skills that opened doors that age alone never could. The same truth applies across every profession. In healthcare, business, education, entertainment, the people who rise are the ones who continually learn, adapt, and improve. Talent might give you a head start, but skills are what sustain you. Skills are what make you resilient when industries change. Skills are what make you irreplaceable when the competition gets tough. Skills are what allow you to pivot, to reinvent yourself, to step into new opportunities when life throws you a curveball. And the beautiful thing is, developing skills is entirely within your control. You don't need anyone's approval to start learning something new. You don't need a fancy degree, a perfect resume, or the right connections to master a skill that the world needs. All you need is the willingness to start where you are and the commitment to keep going when it gets hard. It doesn't matter if you're learning to become a better communicator, a better coder, a better artist, or a better leader. What matters is that you treat every day as an opportunity to get sharper. Every podcast you listen to, every book you read, every course you take, every real-world experience you embrace, it all stacks up. It all compounds over time until one day you realize you're not just good at what you do, you're great. You've built expertise that people will pay attention to, pay money for, and respect, regardless of how old you are. If you ever catch yourself thinking, "I'm too old to start learning this," or "I'm too young to be taken seriously in this field," remind yourself that the marketplace doesn't care how old you are. The marketplace cares whether you can deliver. Can you solve the problem? Can you create the result? Can you bring value? That's what people notice. That's what earns trust, respect, and opportunity. Skills also build confidence. When you know you can do something well, you stop needing external validation. You stop worrying about being judged. You stop playing small because you realize that competence speaks louder than any insecurity you might feel. You walk into rooms with your head high because you know you've put in the work. You have to make it a daily habit to grow your skill set, not just when it's convenient, not just when you're motivated, every day. Even 15 minutes spent learning something new is an investment in your future. Over a year, that 15 minutes compounds into massive gains. Over a decade, it becomes life-changing. At the end of the day, age is just a backdrop. Skills are the real story. Skills are the great amplifier of dreams. Skills are what will carry you across decades, industries, and opportunities. If you stay focused on building skills, you will never be stuck for long. If you stay committed to growing, you will always have doors opening for you, not because of how old you are, but because of how valuable you have become. Every stage of life comes with its own unique set of advantages. But most people waste time wishing they were in a different season instead of maximizing the one they are in. When you're young, you often wish you had more experience, more credibility, more connections. When you're older, you might wish you had more energy, more time, or the fearlessness you once had. But the truth is, every single age brings something valuable to the table, if you are wise enough to recognize it and bold enough to use it. When you are young, you have an incredible superpower. You have nothing to lose. You can afford to take risks because your responsibilities are lighter. You can move fast, experiment, make mistakes, and learn without the crushing pressure that often comes later with family, mortgage payments, and bigger consequences. Youth is the season of boldness. It's the time when you are more willing to dream without limits, to question the status quo, to chase opportunities with a reckless kind of optimism that many people lose over time. If you are young, your advantage is your audacity. Your advantage is the ability to fail forward without it defining you. At the same time, if you are older, you carry a different kind of power, a depth that only time can give you. Experience teaches you things that no book, no lecture, and no podcast ever could. Life experience sharpens your instincts. It deepens your patience. It gives you the wisdom to know what truly matters and what is just noise. When you've lived through enough seasons, you start to see patterns. You recognize opportunities faster. You avoid mistakes that used to cost you years. You understand people better, which makes you a better leader, a better negotiator, a better partner in anything you choose to pursue. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that youth is superior to experience or that experience is superior to youth. Neither is true. They are simply different, and both are powerful in their own right. When you are young, you have the fire. When you are older, you have the focus. Fire without focus burns out. Focus without fire becomes stagnant. And eventually, when the time is right, that growth breaks through for everyone to see. The problem is, most people give up too soon. They quit during the invisible stages. They stop showing up because they can't see immediate evidence that their work is paying off. They forget that consistency is the secret ingredient. It's not about how much you do in a single day. It's about what you do over many days, many months, many years. Tiny steps forward taken consistently become massive momentum over time. Think about how compound interest works in finance. You invest a small amount consistently, and at first the growth seems tiny, almost laughable. But then something magical happens. The growth begins to accelerate. The interest earns interest. The curve starts to rise, and over time, that small investment becomes a massive return. Success works exactly the same way. The small steps you take today, reading for 20 minutes, practicing your skill for an hour, reaching out to one potential client, might not seem like much. But stack those small steps over days and years, and you build something unshakable. The hard truth is, most people are addicted to immediate gratification. They want results now. They want rewards now. They want to skip the invisible work phase and jump straight to the payoff. But the payoff only comes to those who are patient enough to stay in the game when no one's clapping, no one's noticing, and no immediate reward is showing up. It's about trusting the process. It's about believing that every small action matters, even when it feels pointless. You have to fall in love with the process, not just the results. You have to wake up every day and choose to take one small action that moves you forward. Write one more page, make one more call, practice for one more hour, learn one new thing, improve one small habit. These actions might seem insignificant today, but they are building your future in ways you can't even see yet. And here's the powerful thing. Small steps also build your identity. Every time you show up, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when you feel like quitting, you are casting a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. You are proving to yourself that you are someone who follows through, someone who doesn't quit, someone who plays the long game. And over time, that identity becomes unshakable. You stop wondering if you can succeed. You know you can because you've proven it to yourself, step by step. There is no shortcut. There is no fast-forward button, but there is a path, and it's paved with small, consistent daily actions. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, every time you choose growth over comfort, you are compounding your success. You are stacking wins that, over time, will lead to a life that looks extraordinary to everyone else, but will feel completely normal to you because you know how many invisible steps it took to get there. So don't chase quick wins. Don't be discouraged by slow progress. Focus on what you can control today. Take the small step. Do the next right thing. Trust that it's working even when you can't see it yet, because small steps, taken consistently, are the most powerful force in the world for creating the future you want. Success doesn't care how old you are. It doesn't reward youth, and it doesn't favor experience just because you've been around longer. Success honors persistence. It honors the people who stay in the fight when it gets tough. It honors the ones who refuse to quit when progress is slow, when the odds are stacked against them, when everything inside them is screaming to give up. Persistence is the real secret. It's the one quality that separates those who dream from those who achieve. It's not talent, it's not luck, and it's certainly not age. It's the ability to keep moving forward when most people would rather sit down and stop.